It was supposed to be a normal Sunday evening in the sprawling estate on the edge of the city. The marble floors shone like mirrors, the chandeliers glowed like captured stars, and a quiet hum of servants moving about filled the halls. But then silence fell. Every eye turned toward the young maid standing in the grand hallway, clutching something in her trembling hands. What happened next left the entire room stunned. Please take a moment to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Myth Room so you never miss another story like this. The mansion belonged to Harold Vance, a man whose wealth was so vast that his name was whispered with both envy and awe across the country. He was known for his towering skyscrapers, his exotic cars, and his immaculate suits. Yet behind his charming smile lived a man who believed that everyone had a price. That evening, the air smelled of polished wood and expensive cigars. The sound of crystal glasses clinking echoed from the lounge. Outside, the sky was darkening into a stormy gray. Inside, Harold sat in his velvet armchair, his gaze fixed on a thin young woman arranging flowers in a crystal vase. Her name was Elena. She had been working for Harold for almost a year. Quiet, careful, never speaking unless spoken to. Her presence in the mansion was like a shadow, unnoticed by most. Elena had grown up in a small village miles away, where her parents still lived in a modest cottage. She had come to the city to earn money for her father's medical treatments. Every dollar she saved meant another month of medicine, another chance at life for him. She worked without complaint, never asking for more than what she had. But Harold had been watching her. He believed no one could truly be honest in the presence of wealth. He told his friends, "Everyone can be tempted. You just have to find their weakness." So he decided to prove it. That night, as Elena prepared to leave for her small attic room, Harold let a leather wallet slip from his pocket. Inside was a stack of crisp $100 bills, enough to change Elena's life in an instant. The wallet landed near the staircase, unnoticed by the other staff. Except Elena saw it. Her heart stopped. For a brief second she glanced around, but no one was watching. The heavy wallet seemed to pulse in her hand as she picked it up. She knew exactly whose it was. She could hear her father's cough echoing in her memory. She could imagine the relief on her mother's face if she sent that money home. It was enough to pay off their debts, enough to buy medicine for a year. Her palms grew slick with sweat. But then she remembered the values her parents had taught her: honesty, dignity, and hard work. She stood frozen in the hallway, the weight of the wallet dragging her down like an anchor. Meanwhile, Harold waited in the next room, sipping his drink with a sly smile. His friends gathered around him, curious about his experiment. "She's just like the rest," he whispered. "Give her 5 minutes, and she'll slip it into her bag." They all chuckled, confident in the outcome. But 5 minutes passed. Then 10. The maid did not move toward the exit. Instead, she walked slowly to the lounge where Harold sat. Her steps echoed off the marble floor like distant drums. The room fell silent as she approached. Her face was pale but determined. She held out the wallet with both hands, her eyes lowered in respect. "Sir," she said softly, "I believe this is yours." Harold's smile faltered. He had expected guilt or maybe greed. He had not expected this calm, unshakable honesty. His friends exchanged looks of surprise. One even coughed awkwardly. But Harold was not ready to admit defeat. He leaned back in his chair, pretending indifference. "Do you know how much is in that wallet?" he asked, voice dripping with condescension. Elena nodded. "Enough to change my life," she whispered. "And yet you returned it?" Harold asked, almost incredulous. "Yes, sir," she replied simply, "because it isn't mine." Those words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Harold's eyes narrowed. He searched her face for any sign of deception, but there was none, just quiet dignity. Hours later, after his guests had gone, Harold couldn't stop thinking about the moment. He had built his empire on deals, manipulation, and the belief that everyone was driven by self-interest. Yet here was this maid who could have taken thousands of dollars and disappeared, but didn't. Days passed. Harold began to notice things about Elena he had ignored before. The way she worked tirelessly without complaint, the small notes she sent to her parents on her lunch breaks, the careful way she handled every fragile object in the house. Slowly, a strange respect began to bloom in his chest. One evening, he called her into his study. The room was dimly lit. The scent of leather and old books thick in the air. He held the same wallet in his hand. "I tested you," he confessed at last. "I wanted to see if you were like everyone else." Elena stood silent, unsure she was about to be fired or praised. "But you weren't," Harold continued. "You reminded me of something I'd forgotten a long time ago, that integrity still exists." Then he did something no one expected. He handed her an envelope. Inside was a check far larger than the sum in the wallet. "Use this for your family," he said quietly. "They deserve it." Elena's eyes filled with tears. She thanked him softly and left the room. For the first time in years, Harold felt a strange lightness in his chest. He sat back, staring at the fire, wondering how he had become so cynical. But the story did not end there. The next day, Harold's closest business associate confronted him. "Why would you give her that money?" he sneered. "She's just a maid. You're rewarding her for doing what she was supposed to do." Harold looked at his associate with a coldness he hadn't felt before. "No," he said firmly. "I'm rewarding her for being what I am not." It was a turning point for Harold. He began to change the way he treated his staff. He raised their wages, offered better working conditions, and stopped using them as pawns in his little games. His friends noticed a change but couldn't understand it. Some drifted away, unable to accept the new Harold, who valued character over control. Elena, meanwhile, sent the money home. Her father received the treatment he needed. Her mother wrote letters filled with gratitude. Elena never once boasted about what happened. She continued her work quietly, with the same grace and dignity as before. Months later, Harold announced a new charity foundation aimed at supporting honest workers from struggling families. At the launch event, surrounded by reporters and cameras, he spoke about the night a maid returned a wallet. He didn't name her, but everyone in the room could feel the emotion in his voice. "Sometimes," he said, "the poorest among us hold the greatest wealth of character. We just need to be humble enough to see it." Elena stood in the crowd, her hands clasped in front of her, tears shining in her eyes. She had not only helped her family, but changed a man's heart. In the years that followed, Harold's foundation grew, helping thousands of families across the country. But he never forgot the look in Elena's eyes that night, the calm, steady gaze of someone who knew the value of integrity over riches. And though he remained wealthy, Harold often found himself drawn back to that quiet moment in the hallway, when a maid held his wallet and made a choice that would change both their lives. Never underestimate someone's true worth.